Hello and welcome back to Pop Therapy with one of my all-time favorite people in the world. You just heard all about her, Dana. Welcome back to the show.
Yana, thank you for having me. I love being here on Pop Therapy. It's so much fun. I love talking to you about Bravo, reality TV, and just whatever's going on with you. I miss you.
Me
It's good to see you.
too. I miss you too. And I just, you were the first person I messaged. All of this stuff was going down the last few days. And I was
Wait,
like,
what's been
Dana.
going down?
Oh, you haven't heard anything? Oh, I'll fill you in.
Okay, fill me in. Fill me in.
So, when I tell you I have been gripped by this summer house situation, it is the biggest understatement in the world. I have not been able to do anything else. I have been
Right?
in the most
All-consuming
insane state of anxiety, physically in my body, feeling it, and cannot put the phone down, and messaging with it, anyone who cares, and saying to my real life
I was messaging
people,
with a friend of mine the other day, and I'm like, I'm in cybersecurity training, but I can't stop thinking about West and Amanda. It's crazy.
Seriously. It is wild. And trying to explain to my partner, he's like, okay, I know about Kyle and Amanda. What's the rest of it? I'm like, oh my God, Dal. I just
Trying
can't.
to explain it to normies.
No.
I felt the same way. I felt in a world alone over the past couple of days because I have been in office, and no one in my office knows what Bravo is, let alone Summer House. So I am looking at my phone, and there is a freaking statement, a joint statement, mind you, from Westing Wilson and Amanda Batula, and I have no one that I can discuss this with. And I'm looking around the room. I'm like, is anyone Summer House? Do you know Sierra though? But have you heard about the
yes?
And so I'm like, lover boy,
totally.
Somebody's got to listen to me, because this really, and I'm sure we're gonna go there, this really has so many Scandavol-like aspects to it that impact, and I really do believe that Scandavol changed the landscape of reality TV for the Bravo fandom forever, because I feel like it was at that point where we became very black and white, team A, team B. We love to love, we want you to die. And that's just how we are now. And with this, it feels like we're already starting to gain the same momentum. The part about it that feels good is that we're all on one side, and that sort of feels nice. There is something, there's a saying that there's nothing that bonds people together more than their mutual hatred of a singular person. And that is where we are. When we were doing Jill Zarin, it was yay, we're activists again, and everybody was on the same side. So it feels good. It also feels good that the person who's hurt in this situation is a Black woman, but the entire fandom is supporting the Black woman and shutting down the white people. And that never happened. So that feels good that we're on the right side of history this time, it feels like.
Yes, completely agree. And I think that is at the heart of one of the pieces about this that is just so terrible, is that, Sierra has been bleeding all over the screen for us this season and having the most moving, important, heartfelt conversations about her experience as a Black woman being fucked around by these white guys in a very public way, and the nuance there for her that we will never understand ourselves, but she has,
because we don't have that lived experience.
That's right. But she has done such a beautiful job of explaining it. And I think everyone was getting it and fully in support of her. And the whole time Amanda's hovering at her shoulder like the best friend, yes, girl, I'm here. And then we come to find that she's been lying. And I think we can all probably assume that this has been going on way longer than the last month that it's been rumored. There's so much that's surfacing that makes it look like it's been going on much longer. Rewatching this season already now feels dirty. There's connection there between the two of them, whether it was happening officially or not. And the betrayal from Amanda, it's on a level that I do think is akin to Scandavol.
The difference is that Raquel wasn't very smart. And I could be wrong, but I thought Amanda Batula was very smart. And, well, it's funny to say that because I feel like we come into this entire situation as a fandom and say things like, Amanda would never do that. Sierra would feel this way. And we don't really know. We don't really know these people. We only see them for these short snippets of time. And fun fact, we don't know anything about Amanda Batula prior to Summer House. We don't know how she was raised. We don't know about her childhood. We don't know anything about her prior to her relationship with Kyle. We don't know the kind of person she is. And someone brought this up, so I'm going to, add it here for you. Someone brought up that a few seasons back, and I do remember this, there was a scene where everybody's playing like a question game or spin the bottle or something like that. And the question is, who do you trust the least in the house? And Danielle said, Amanda. Yeah. And that's weird. And I remember thinking that was weird. I'm like, Amanda? Why Amanda? Yeah. Right? But, these are, again, people who know her outside of the house and have a bigger relationship with her. I'm curious from your perspective as a therapist, like, what do you think is going on in the brain of Amanda Batula?
Yeah, look, there is a part of me that has empathy for her because she's coming out of that 10-year relationship. She's had one identity in the public eye. As you said, we know nothing about her backstory. We know her parents are very involved. She's often, early on when she was with Kyle, her parents were involved in the disappointment with the cheating.
I remember Frank Batula, but we didn't get a ton of her relationship with her parents. I think we met them twice on screen.
Yeah, true.
And I'm not blaming anyone for that. I'm just saying she had a whole life before this. Yeah. She's had relationships before this. Have things happened like this before? We don't know. We've seen her in a 10-year relationship. That's a decade. We don't know Amanda Batula outside of Kyle Cook. And the one that we're getting to know, we're not such a fan.
No, but I guess where I was going with that is, we all do crazy things when we're in that kind of state of flux. And, the emergence of her as a single person trying to reestablish that identity again as like, who am I? She would have had no clue. I mean, I don't think she really knew who she was in the relationship. And we had versions of her that were pretty tragic all the way through. I don't recall seeing, like West was talking about, like, where are the highs in the relationship? All we've seen is the lows, the challenges, the cheating, her pacing around and repeatedly calling Kyle till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning where he's not answering his phone and he's out because she's so anxious about what he's doing. Rightfully so. He gave her good reason to be paranoid and anxious. So, we've only seen her as this kind of very insecure, unhappy person in this relationship. And then we've seen her this season completely checked out. So,
right. But something that we've also seen this season, sorry, I've now lost my train of thought. Hold on. We've seen her, have her worst relationship period ever. We've seen her husband treat her terribly, but then we've seen this other guy really pump her up and be like, I love you. First of all, he said, I love you. Yes. And he's standing up for her to her husband, which is a huge thing to do. I know on reality TV, everybody's involved in everybody's relationships, but even for him to cross that boundary and have that conversation with Kyle last night it's a big thing. I mean, if I came and spoke to you about the way you speak to your husband, that's so inappropriate. That is your relationship, right? None of my business. But the way that he will just stand up for her and be there for her. And I think that and I'm not defending her. I think that has had to have had an impact in her mind where she's been beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. And now she's being treated quote unquote amazing by this guy for 5 minutes. And she's like, oh, I love him. You know how we are.
Yeah, 100%. And it definitely feels like she's playing to the boys this season. She's got this whole different kind of persona. It's this kind of cool girl, a little bit sexy, a little bit we haven't really seen that before. Right. She was a bed bug before, just lying in bed bitching about Kyle, which I also thought was really unhealthy as a dynamic. She was a married woman and as someone in a long-term relationship. He was never the priority. And I will say, again, he gave every reason for her to be pissed off and hurt and all of those things. But there just never seemed to be any time where she was on his team. And it was the focus was how she was coming across to the girls, and the bed bug, it was pandering to Paige, and Paige was setting the tone of we hate men even though we're in relationships with men.
I love those women.
And then it was like now without Paige, it feels like she's really playing up to the boys.
I see what you're saying. I think a big change in her personality this year may have to do with her antidepressants because she's finally found that right mixture, and that could be giving her the sense of confidence and I don't give a fuck sort of attitude.
Yeah.
I would also argue, I think their relationship problems are so cyclical, right? Because you did this, then I did this, then you did this, and I did this. But at the same time, and again, I've just lost my train of thought. I'm so funny today. It's been a long day.
Listen, our brains have been fried by this for days on end.
So fried by this. Sorry, what were we just talking about?
So we were talking about like the cyclical relationship. So I was talking about how she's kind of switched from
right.
pandering to the girls to now to the boys.
Right. So think about the fact that he's never really around. Like, yes, I see what you're saying where she's not giving him attention, but he's also never around. So think about even like last season. It's a small example, but it was the very first episode. And he's like, I want to spend more time together this season, babe. And she's like, look at you hanging out with that banana, because they were at like a fair, right? And so he's riding all the rides with this banana. He's spending the whole night with the banana and spending no time with Amanda. So I think she has gotten used to that and has gotten used to a life where there was many years where she was like, be with me, be with me, be with me. And she has said this. And then she's eventually was like, I've gotten used to it. And so she is putting a lot more importance on those other relationships and her friendships because that's all she has around her. Yeah. I know he keeps saying that she's not spending time with him. And I agree, and I see that now, but it's after years of you not spending time with her. And she's just used to that now. And I'm sorry, it is a very babyish way to speak, to be like, my wife doesn't spend time with me. She spends more time with you guys than me. It's so, what's the word? Like, it's immature. Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Juvenile. It's immature. It's childish. That can't be what marriage is. Because if it is, count me out.
I mean, that is not a good example of a long-term relationship.
I think we all know that. Nobody's being like, I'm going to be like Kyle and Amanda when I go. No one said
nobody.
No one.
Like we've literally never seen, like at no point was it like they have been ships in a night the entire time. I don't remember one night where they went to bed together. Like it was always her in the bed getting woken up by Kyle whenever he would come home drunk and like, Amanda, like they were just never sort of on the same page, and that's okay. Like if it's not going to work
never
out.
Though. Never once. No. Not in that 10 years.
No. And there was never any point where we were like, oh my God, they're so cute. Even like the lead up to the wedding, or the engagement, it was like.
The engagement, which was beautiful. And I did go, but that was the same season that he cheated on her.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Why were we watching this? I'm embarrassed for us right now. I mean, at the end of the day,
Dana.
We're also watching couples like Tom and Katie, and we're like, this seems weird, but I don't know. This is what's put in front of us, and they've decided to be together. So I guess we're just going to be supportive.
Yes, the toxic dynamic is just something that we just came to accept.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting. So Kyle, I'm sure you've seen, has done a street interview, which is, there's a third part coming out if it hasn't already. But
you know what? I only got to watch the first part because I was recording something else before this. So if you want to give me the synopsis. Please.
Yeah, look, nothing really that much more in the second part. It was essentially that, yes, he's been speaking to Sierra. That he got the heads up right before it came out. Kind of Amanda called him before, they've spoken since, and he's very worried about her mental health, keeps saying how unwell she is, and that he can't understand why West has, constantly increasing followers and Amanda's getting death threats and shredded. Which, I think these are good points to make, that we need to be mindful of people's mental health. But also, you kind of like made your bed a little bit. You could just stay off social media. That would be the smart thing to do for your own mental health.
For sure. And there's somebody else's mental health that we have to think about, and that's Sierra.
Absolutely. Exactly what I was going to say. And like,
sorry.
I don't think she was thinking about anybody else or what was going to happen to her mental health when this was all
Which
going
is just
down.
so strange to me based on the way I feel. I know Amanda, and I just
Yeah.
feel like for her to have all of these to make all of these very bad choices, the only part that really tracks for her is the disassociation and the I'll deal with it laterness. Because whenever she's dealt with stress in her life, even up to the wedding, right? They lost the florist, they lost all this, they didn't have a venue, and she was just like, we'll deal with it later. And it's like, we have a wedding, you can't, right? And so what's the word? She freezes, I guess. Or what were we going to say?
Avoids.
Yeah, she avoids tough situations when she's feeling overwhelmed. I'm sure she feels overwhelmed right now. I'm sure she felt overwhelmed as those feelings were starting to creep in. It sort of also seems, I could be wrong because we've gotten so many different reports, but it sort of seems like the way this all kind of came out is because people were really stalking them down to like looking at them through the window, right? So maybe you're in that point in a relationship where you're still just like, do I feel something for this person? I'm not sure. And the world is forcing you to say it. And now we've said it. And maybe they weren't ready to say something yet. But, you know, it just seems weird to me. Like, to me, the only way you get out of this unscathed is you get married. And it was the same for Tom and Raquel. Unless you guys are meant to be, there's no other reason. But everyone is still reporting that he is seeing tons of other girls. He was seeing Sierra up until recently and hooking up with her. And there's allegedly someone that he's been dating for 2 years as well, exclusively, which that one I don't believe. That makes no sense. But like, for you to give up your brand deals, your friends, and probably like your future for a maybe fuckboy is like, and not even a boyfriend, right? Like you haven't even established that, and we all know he's not going to be that, right? He's a baby version of who Kyle was. Like he's 29 and he's doing the same fuckboy shit, right? So it just doesn't feel smart, and it doesn't feel like the type of moves Amanda Batula would make, and that's why it was so shocking.
Yeah, and look, is he, and this is kind of the point that Carl was making on that street interview, that, you know, West is just so charming and charismatic and he can kind of just get whatever he wants wherever he goes. And is it a case of them building that connection, whether or not things were happening during filming last season or not? The connection was clearly building at the very least. And, you know, she was very vulnerable and in that place of, you know, shaken identity and having to start again, and all of that attention is going to feel amazing. And is she that delusional that like this is the thing, or is she, as you say, completely avoiding it and just like enjoying what's in front of her? The thing I find fascinating is how brazen they've been, because there's so many reports coming out now and some pictures are starting to come out now of them just like openly like together in bars all the time, alone. You know, like that's pretty ballsy, knowing that they're very well-known people and eyes are on at least Amanda at the moment, because she's, you know, it's all public now that she's divorcing Kyle, and like it just feels so reckless, all of it.
It's so reckless. And I also even they were involved, they were around at the time that Scandavol was happening. So the whole wearing each other's hats and shirts, they know that we'll track that down. They know we'll pick up on that kind of thing. So it is weird for them to be so brazen. I wonder if part of it, like in terms of them just like going out and stuff, is to continue the narrative of like, we're friends. But I'm curious your thoughts on this. I mean, they were obviously becoming very close friends. Like, let's assume this part didn't happen. Personally, for me, and I'm curious your thoughts, if I were Sierra, I would still have a problem with that. I'd be like, you've become like best friends with my ex who didn't treat me well. It's not like it's a guy who treated her well and we're all good now, right? Like, this is a guy who didn't treat her that well. And this is who you've chosen to spend all of your time with now. So that just seems odd, right? And if I were Sierra, I would have some feelings about that towards Amanda.
100%. I would too. Like it's, even if this is a childish thing to think at our age, I don't know, but it does feel like that is breaking the girl code. Like if you break up with your guy, I'm not going to now go and spend all my time with him. Like I'm just not.
It's funny though, because we have had other situations on Summer House where it's been different, where Danielle dated Carl a long time ago, and then he ends up with Lindsay. Then Danielle gives him a hand job in the car. Then he gets engaged to Lindsay, right? Back and forth and back and forth. And so that was fine. And Lindsay and Danielle were able to maintain a best friendship, but I'm sure they asked each other first.
I don't know about that.
Like,
yeah, but you know, Danielle, I think never really actually got over that. I think that was part of her poison in that season, her last terrible season where she ruined their engagement. And she was, I think.
You don't think she had feelings for Carl, though?
Exactly. That's what I mean.
You do?
I do. And I don't think to the degree where maybe she would act on them or want to be in a relationship, but I feel like that was an undercurrent there of a little bit of hurt, and like she had to kind of just be the cool girl about it because Lindsay is a very strong personality. If Lindsay's going to date Carl, she's dating Carl. You know?
Well, then there you go, right? There is no situation where it's okay. I mean, I was on TMZ this morning, holla, and the TMZ guy, Harv or whatever his name is, Harvey, he said, I know lots of people who have gotten divorced and break up and they date other people. How is it different? I'm like, you're not all living in the house together. And he goes, so it's about the show. And I'm like, it's not just about the show. They're also a group of friends that hang out together in real life. How are they going to be able to do that? It's a disrespect. It's so many things. And if you want to look at the nuances of like, they only dated like in a situationship style thing for like 3 months, like 2.5 years ago. But now that we're hearing it was much more recent, that does change things. And, and I was talking about this with somebody on another podcast earlier about, remember how Jesse asked West if it was okay if he made out with Sierra? Well, how come Amanda did not ask Sierra before making out with West? You know what I'm saying? You guys are playing the same little game here.
Yes, exactly. There's so much hypocrisy, and there is so much of Amanda's alternate identity outside of Kyle was pinned on being a girl's girl. Truly, all the Boys Lie merch, all of the bedbug action.
She can't wear Boys Lie merch anymore.
No, but it's like
because she's Girls Lie.
Yes, and that is a fact. She
actually has admitted to us before that she has lied. So in the Marie Claire article that she did, she talked about, I mean, we all know, but she talked about like that fake doghouse or Gemma's house that she was pretending to get into and being like, you guys, the rumors are true. I have moved. This is all I can afford. So it's not crazy that she would lie to us. I also think it's crazy that she lied to Kyle all the way up until like a day before. But again, I'm not saying this to defend her, but I think she is so overwhelmed with what's going on. But you also put yourself in this situation. You know, you started hanging out with someone who is your friend's ex, and you started spending a lot of time with that person. You're both good looking people. Maybe I'm being an idiot for saying this, but like, I'm not saying that guys and girls can't be friends, but like, you put two really good looking people together and have them spend all their time together.
Yeah.
Have them get high together.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Something's going to happen. Of course.
You guys are together every day. You're going to bump up uglies. Like, come on.
Yeah. And I do think, yes, we give West a bit of a pass because in the way that we do, unfortunately, we often give shitty men a pass because we're like, well, we know that. Like, we know he was a fuckboy.
Because we have low expectations. Yeah.
Yeah. However, you know, I think the responsibility really did lie with Amanda to be a good friend to Sierra,
100%. This is more about Amanda and Sierra.
And especially in light of everything that Sierra's been sharing this season. She's been so vulnerable and put so much of her heart and soul on the line for this show and helped us come along as an audience to understand, you know, even the nuances of her relationship with West. You know, she's cried on screen still in this season talking about how complicated it is and that she misses him and they were, you know, great friends. And like the love is so evident that she has for him. And how can you really, as somebody's friend, know all of this and continue down that path? Like that's the thing I find really jarring.
Right. And when we talk about like it being complicated, and there we go, I've just lost my again. Sorry, I'm just like having the weirdest day.
All right, I think we're going to limit you to like one recording a day and maybe one media comment a day.
No, I was just like, I'm going to get so much done today. Yes. I am like going from like 8 to like 9 p.m. and I've got something every hour. Go, 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 go.
Oh
but no, what I wanted to say was I wanted to actually get into the racial aspect of it, if that's okay with you. Because one thing I wanted to mention in line with what you were saying was Sierra has talked about how complicated the relationship with West has been. But on top of that, she has talked about the interracial aspect of it and the complications with that. And she's talked about how, you know, she'll get messages from people talking about how she's being played by a white boy. And you have Amanda literally standing next to her there while she's talking about this, holding her and hugging her. And then, in my opinion, just basically walking away and being like, well, anyways, and not really taking that conversation so seriously, because I want people to really take a look at what Sierra has been through in terms of men. She has Jesse Solomon showing an interest in her sexually, but not being her boyfriend. She has West showing an interest in her sexually, but doesn't want to be her boyfriend. She has Austen showing an interest in her sexually, but doesn't want to be her boyfriend. And why is that? Is it because she's Black, or is that something that's going on in her mind? Because you had no problem then committing to her white friend within seconds, right? And to show the amount of care and love that he's shown towards Amanda that he has never shown towards Sierra. I've seen him flirt with her. I've seen him think she's hot, but I've never seen him show the love and care. Those are the words I have to use, because that is what I've seen him show towards Amanda. So I know that that's something that the racial aspect can really come into play here, because we know that she wants to have a boyfriend. She wants to be in a relationship. And we know she has gone through white boy after white boy who has literally played in her face. And then it almost feels like, not like they're actually doing this, but it almost feels like Amanda and West are laughing at her and getting together and doing the thing that she wanted this whole time, you know? And we don't really know. We don't know if they're like in a formal relationship or what's going to be. But a lot of people are saying like, not everything is about race. But you know what? This is.
Yes. And let's not also forget that Lindsay did this to Sierra with Austen. And admittedly, they didn't go into a relationship. They were literally hooking up in Sierra's face. And Amanda was fully in support. Like, everyone turned on Lindsay and everyone had Sierra's back and talked about like how terrible that was. Like, okay, it wasn't relationships, but, you know, clearly Sierra
and Lindsay and Sierra weren't
Austen.
friends. So there is like that. I guess Sierra had felt, I remember the scene, and I feel like Sierra had felt like Lindsay owed her that. And Lindsay was like, I don't even think about you on my worst day. Like, you're so insignificant to me in terms of my thoughts. But Sierra has really built herself up on this show in this huge way, especially this season. Like you said, we are seeing a whole new Sierra, and I'm loving it. Like, I'll be honest with you right here, right now. Kind of thought she was boring before this. Sorry. But now I don't anymore. Same. Now that she's on her right meds, and that fact that she is being open about her life, talking about buying her father's house or her grandparents' house. I think that's so amazing. Talking about, you know, just even sitting down with KJ and talking to him about like how important it is to love and lost and to have never loved at all. Like, I don't think I've ever heard her communicate so much. And it's so nice to really have her in a lead role this season. And that's why it just feels so much more fucked up. If she was maybe like a friend of, or someone we didn't really know really well, maybe behind the scenes, but because she has really become such a front runner of this show, albeit not an OG, but almost like a main stakes player. I know people who don't watch this show, but know who Sierra is. They don't know who anybody else is on this show, but people know who Sierra is.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. But, you know, to have your friends sort of do this to you, it's fun. It's funny to have them do this to you when maybe you're in your prime, because I think it would have gone way differently for her if she wasn't. So again, I am happy that the fandom is reacting the right way to this. Unless it becomes too much, because we did have Kyle, like you said, talking about Amanda's mental health. I do assume that she's getting death threats, right? Of course, because that is the way that we are, and that's not okay. And it should never be coming to that, because if Sierra is not wishing them death, you guys shouldn't be either, right? Like, it affects you 0%. But
100%.
Outside of that, like I'm kind of proud of us for not going too hard, because sometimes we can. Like I said, we can go real crazy in terms of, like, you know, with our pitchforks. And I think it's good that we all agree that this was a bad thing. That being said, new news is coming out every 10 seconds, so things can change.
100%.
Find out that Sierra has been dating Kyle for the past 8 years. So who knows?
Do you know what? If that happened, I think everyone would be like, well, good, you know, fine.
I'm going to go jump off a cliff now if somebody said that to me. I'm like, I can't.
I know, totally. Like, where are the amazing, like, powerful Black men coming to swoop her off her feet? Like, she is like a goddess, like, inside and out. I don't just mean that because she's so beautiful. Like, we have now seen her for the first time, like you said, in all of these seasons past. She was the messy girl, you know, like, as in literally her bedroom was like the other character, just like
doesn't clean her bed.
Explosion of clothing.
Yeah.
She's scoop a little pathway and go to sleep. And there was nothing much going on with her. And maybe it was because there was too much going on elsewhere and she was depressed and figuring it out. But now, like you see, like she's opened up like a flower, and I just see this beautiful, vulnerable person inside that I'm so happy to see. And I was feeling like that before this came out. I was like, wow, there's so much more to this girl than we've ever seen before. This is incredible. And I think because of that, it feels like so much more of an offense that this is happening, especially with this season for her and the way it's all unfolding.
What do you think this means for the future of the show?
Well, I think if anything, Amanda may step away. I can't see Kyle won't step away.
But think about the fact that they have that other show, right? So I think they have stepped away, technically. Like, I don't understand what In the City is anymore if Kyle and Amanda are no longer married, but I think technically let's remove them for a second because I think they're supposed to be transitioning off. To me, it's like, okay, well, Wes and Sierra then are supposed to continue on the Summer House, on the younger show. They're still single, they're still young, whatever. But how is Sierra supposed to do that? Like, let's be realistic. Seriously. How are you supposed to hang out with this guy? You can't. Yeah. So if she decides that she has to leave, that feels very unfair that she has to leave her job because of what other people did to her. And because she can't get over it, but like, who could get over it? Who could possibly now film with any of these people ever again? Like, my God. Yeah. But I am very excited for the reunion, which is filming in 2 weeks.
Oh my God, cannot wait for the reunion. And she is, you know, the way that she communicates with such quiet strength, like the way that she explained herself to Jesse Solomon. You know, like Paige used to come into the reunions after like lying in bed, rotting literally the entire season, and then suddenly has a personality and, you know, is violent against everyone at the reunion. Lindsay, we know, goes hard and loud. Sierra's just got that quiet strength, and I think she could eviscerate them intelligently and articulately.
Yeah, just a couple of words, slice right through them. Yeah.
Right. And I think she will explain her pain and the betrayal beautifully, and they are going to feel like absolute shit, and there is nothing that they can say, because I think like even Kyle was saying in his street chat, the timelines still are not clear to him.
He said that? Okay.
And he said that's still unfolding, and that he's looking now at the season going, wow, okay, there was a lot of touchy-feely, there was a lot going on that, you know, I was just kind of overlooking, but now I'm rethinking.
But, you know, it was the same with Scandavol because it was a group of people who would hang out together and do drugs and be all touchy with each other. Ryan Bailey was one of those people. He was like, yeah, I did get all touchy with them at Coachella, right? Like, that's how they are. So even the people within the group were not noticing. And I see a lot of similarities with that. If Wes and Amanda were not banging, okay, then what we're looking at is a beautiful friendship between a man and a woman, right? And you do think it's beautiful for a minute, right? Like a week ago, we were like, this is so nice how much this house supports each other and are there for each other. And while they may get too involved in each other's lives, it's kind of beautiful because they live together in a way.
Yeah. And it did feel like it has kind of felt a little bit more kumbaya this season, you know, like people connecting and the friendships felt really
everybody
kind of
likes everybody, right? Even Lindsay's good.
Yeah. But I also have felt like this whole like Lindsay and Amanda and Sierra being friends has felt very fake and forced to me. Because I can't let go of the things that we know and the, you know, but I actually do see Sierra and Lindsay really bonding over this. And I feel like Lindsay will have her back in a way that, you know, that Lindsay can.
But it's interesting because Lindsay has known Amanda for 10 years, right? I mean, they have had a really long history as well. I love that Lindsay is on the right side and having the right person's back. We also saw Hannah Berner post something to do with like toilet paper or something to do with wiping something. And Paige was like, oh, we know what side Hannah's on. And we know that when there's a lot going on the internet, where Hannah's going to be. And Paige was in Amanda's wedding, right? And not that she stayed at her side, but I think her side is pretty clear. But like, can you imagine losing all of your friends over this? Right? I mean,
don't know if this was real, but something was posted apparently from Paige's cat her
I saw that with
page
the 3 cats.
of the 3 cats.
I was like, is
which
this real?
Sierra's cat, you know, Paige's
Yeah.
cat, and Hannah's cat. And
That's what I wasn't
Amanda's
sure of, if they were the other 2
swimsuit
girls'
in the bin.
cats.
Yes, and there was a swimsuit in the
bin?
trash can. Yes.
This is
So I
very
don't know if
mature.
that
I'm
was-
sorry.
I know.
You
I
were
don't know
in
if it
her
was like
wedding. Come on.
yeah, I don't know if it was an April Fool's or if that was real.
Oh, right. I keep forgetting what today is. That's why they couldn't announce it today. That's why it had to be yesterday. But I did hear that they wanted to announce it on April 20th because allegedly the reunion was going to be April 19th. Now it's the 15th. But apparently there was a date in tow.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you know, again, people hear this on my podcast all the time, but I am blocked by Paige, so I can't keep up with what she's thinking.
I'm blocked by Sierra. I just found this out a couple days ago. Isn't that weird? I like Sierra.
Oh no! Why did
I was like,
she
what
do
did I
that?
do? Honestly, I actually do not know how long ago this happened. It could be years at this point. I cannot remember the last time I looked at her profile. But I just want to, you know, to any Bravo Levs who are listening to this podcast, I am an investigator, and so are all of these other people. We all have thousands of accounts. You cannot block us. But nice try.
Yeah.
I think that's so cute. I think it's so cute.
It is so cute. But you know what? You can actually block all accounts, which I think is what Paige has done to me. You can
create a new account. No, like, okay, well, when I get a new job, I use that email address to create a new Instagram account. So it's not attached to any of my other Instagram accounts. And it's a new, right? So you have to use it with a different email address and you have to set it up not on your phone because that's...
Oh, so if they're...
Right, because it says that it'll block any accounts that have been created by this email address, basically, right? So you pick a whole new one, but not one that's connected to you, like a whole new. Trust me, I've done it, and I can switch back and forth to like different IG accounts.
Okay, we love a Finsta tip. This is great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's got a Finsta. Come on, even all the Bravo Lebs have a Finsta.
Totally, everyone does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blocking
so we've
us.
got
LOL. Paige,
so
silly.
I know. Although, but you know where I stand. Do I need to bring the hat out again, Dana? You know,
okay,
you know how I feel.
You know I haven't spoken to you. I haven't spoken to you since that van ride, and I want to know your opinion on it.
All right, so guys, if you're listening and not watching this, we are referring to my love for Craig and the excuses that I make for this man, because I feel like I see him, and I really do feel like I see him. And not just because I met him and he bamboozled me in real life and gave me merch and has bought my love. Not because of that.
No.
Genuinely, I don't think he is any more problematic than any other guy on that show. And I don't understand why he has been pigeonholed like that. Like, I mean, I understand like each year someone's got to be the person that they're attacking and that
because he's reactive.
Up on.
He's reactive.
But how is it? The only person that was screaming the entire season was Austen.
I disagree.
Austen stood up in Craig's face, was screaming at him, calling him a psychopath, all of this shit, and Craig's literally just sitting there going, okay.
Okay, but there was other moments where he was yelling. So I would just, in my opinion, say that they were both yelling, not at each other necessarily, but yes, you're right. They did both yell this season.
And I think if we like look at the sum behavior of all of these men, every single one of them has been problematic, reactive, drunk, badly behaved, treated women like shit. Although apart from like Craig screaming at Salley, and you know, personally, I feel like she deserved everything she got. She was such a little annoying person to him.
There's a saying that's like, it's going to rain. You can only you can only change how you react to the rain, right? It's from a stupid movie, and so it's a stupid saying. But I do agree that people are testing him, right? He is having his buttons pushed. But if you are not capable of not freaking out as a reaction, that is a you problem.
It is. However, I would counter with the situation they're in. They're under pressure with the cameras, with everything. He was newly broken up with his love of
Not
his life.
that new. Not
Well,
that
a few
new.
months. It was like
It had been 7.5 months.
I don't know if it had been, but also think about it. They'd been together for like 3.5 years or whatever it was. That was end game for him.
I know.
Like, I think, it can take years to
You weren't
get
embarrassed
over.
how much he was talking about it?
I was
Talking to
sad for
ChatGPT
him.
as a therapist? Come on.
I have to say, I've had clients share with me some of their printouts from therapeutic conversations with, like, I've literally had emails, like hundreds of
And
pages long.
how does chat do as a therapist in comparison?
Well.
Really?
Honestly, it's like, oh yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
It sounds dangerous.
Yeah,
I'm not going to.
That's really good. Oh, look, 100%. The main point of therapy, as you know, is the connection that you build with the person, and a computer isn't going to pick up on the micro expressions and the nuances and the human aspect that we absolutely need, and is the whole point of therapy.
Right, and Craig does admit that it. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, like as a general, like, life guidance kind of way, I think it actually does a good job.
That's great. I mean,
great. But it's not therapy. It's not therapy.
But he does admit that it does cater towards, like, what's the word? Like, it'll be biased towards what you want to hear, type of thing. So the fact that he's cognizant of that, I mean, that's a big deal, right? Okay. We just had to get into the correctness of it all just to sort of make it all make sense.
Just to finish on my high horse about Craig, I just feel like we need to cut him some slack in the place that he was in his life, and with the cameras and the pile on. Like, he would have been fully aware that, hang on, everyone's suddenly turning on me only because he rejected Salley. If he had not rejected Salley, none of this would have happened. Salley, like, rolled up her sleeves, and, like, literally every scene, she and Vanita are, like, rolling eyes and making comments. Can you imagine, like, every time you sit down with people and they're new to your show and it's your show, like, some little person comes to your workplace and acts like they know better than everybody, like, how to run this shit, and they're rolling eyes and they're talking to your friends and they're, like, making comments, like, it would really get under your skin. Yeah. And I think, yes, he maybe he shouldn't have screamed at her in that way, but honestly, like, I wanted to scream at her in that way. I think I would feel the same way.
I just think we don't scream at women, but I get it. And I
think some women we can scream at.
Let's agree to disagree.
What makes her so special?
Okay, I am fine with screaming at women like Jen Shaw, Ghislaine Maxwell, Elizabeth Holmes, some people who are all in jail together. So those are some examples.
Yeah.
I just feel like, the reason I guess I go there is because what is Salley at the most? Annoying. Right? I mean, I don't think she's a bad person. I think she did a lot on TV, and okay, we can agree to disagree there, but like, I think she's a pick-me. I think she's a lot, but I do think she's good for the show, and I don't think she's a bad person, and I don't think she has, like, bad intentions. That's just, like, my personal opinion. So in that vein, I'm like, do you really have to, like, scream at her that way? I just feel like it was a lot, enough so that somebody else was like, you know what, that's not what I mean, if I saw that 3 times as well, even if it was warranted, I'd be like, I don't want to date that person. I would, but to each their own. I just wouldn't want somebody who flies off the handle, warranted or not, but somebody who seems to be flying off the handle a lot.
True. And I wouldn't accept being screamed at like that in my relationship either. So
of course you wouldn't. Yeah,
I definitely.
You would never sit there and be like, I deserve that. I'm a jerk.
No. Yeah. No. If anything, I'm going to do the screaming. All right. No.
Let's be real.
Yeah. I mean, my partner is 6'4". Like, all I can do is scream at him. I can't, I've got no chance of, if it ever came to it, like,
this is getting weird.
Okay.
We love you. Right. We love you, Chris.
I am in a very safe and loving relationship. Let me just make that clear. But yeah, I just think, that was a complicated situation. And I think, he's not perfect by any means. I just think he's no worse than the rest of them.
I think that's a really fair statement for you to make. One of the biggest reasons these people are supposedly interesting to us on reality TV is their Peter Pandem and all these things, right? We're not watching them because we aspire to be like them. I don't think there's any Bravo left that I'm like, I want to be like you. It's more like I'm intrigued by you. I think the way you act is weird and I want to watch it,
Yes. And I agree with you. I think Salley absolutely needs to come back, even though she like gives me such deep cringe, and I feel
It is
so
pretty
bad
cringe.
for her. Like it's so embarrassing, the
It
behavior
is
to
embarrassing.
sit honestly on the reunion couch and be shredded by Austen like that, and then continue to talk about what a great dad he's going to be, googly
You know what, though?
eyes.
I think that's because of where she's from, and I bet she hears stuff like that all the time. I bet in Charleston it is
Yeah,
very normal to talk to women that way because it's Madison being the one who's jumping the gun on
yeah,
that and saying, yes, if you want to be a wife, you need to act like a wife. And that's one of her close friends and a
yes.
mother saying that, you know?
Yes. Yeah. But if like where is the self-esteem? Where is the self-worth? Where is the
It's hard when you're
I
being
mean,
rejected all the time, right? Like I kind of can feel for her there, especially with where they're from, and it's an expectation that everybody gets married young. She gets engaged, the guy cheats on her, she goes to The Bachelor, she goes to Bachelor in Paradise, she goes to Southern Hospitality, she goes to Southern Charm, looking for men, looking all around, and none of them want to be
yeah.
with her, right? And so is she doing it in an embarrassing way? Yeah, but are you gonna have self-esteem? Like I'll tell you this right now, when this happened to me, I thought I was the worst, right? I was like, there is something
Yeah.
so wrong with me that no one wants to date me. The way I resolved
Yeah.
it, I stopped dating, and it's been like a decade and a half, but that is not something that she wants to do. She wants to get married, she wants to have babies. So I imagine exactly the way that she's feeling because I've been there.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing that makes you feel like there's something wrong with you more than to be rejected over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, and I completely get that. And I had 8 years. I think we've talked about this
Yeah, we have.
before.
Yes.
Who was it in relation to? Because it can't have been
We were
Salley.
talking about this. I think we were talking
Were
about
we?
Sally. I
Feels like a
said, I
long
think
time
you
ago we
don't
were talking about
understand
this.
what it's like to be single for so
Yes.
long. I think
But
we were definitely talking about her.
yeah. Okay, well, I
And then
was
you're like,
definitely
no, I do
single,
know.
yeah, for 8 years, like you, the same thing,
Yeah.
like just like shit guy
What
after
period
shit
of
guy.
life, like what age were you
It
for that period?
was up until I met Chris. So I met him at maybe 32.
Okay,
So
so
it
most of
was
your
like
20s.
that pivotal time when everyone
Yeah.
else is like getting married and, settling down and in long-term relationships. And I'm on fucking Tinder swiping and swiping and swiping and going on dates and having like, short-lived, 3-week things with people who never are going to be my boyfriend. And one explicitly said that we were kind of seeing each other for a few months. And I was like besotted with him. And he like basically said to me at one point, like, I'm never going to be your boyfriend. Like, you know that, right? And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, dead
And it's like,
inside, but it was like, you do question, like, what is wrong with me? Like, everything is wrong with me. I'm too fat. I'm too ugly. I'm too desperate. I'm
totally.
a loser. Like, every possible horrible thing you can think about yourself, you think that to the nth degree. And so I completely get that. But I just wish Salley, I don't know, could find, like, I'd love to see, I reckon, it would be so easy for her to get the love of the fandom if she just gave it back to Austen. That's
Yeah,
all she'd
no,
have to
you're right.
do. I mean, like, you know
You're
what?
right.
Fuck you. And like, even if she's dying inside and still thinks all the terrible things that we think about ourselves, if she was just publicly like, you know what? Fuck you. We would be like, yeah, Team Salley. And she'd have all
Totally.
the women.
She's just like too pathetic as a person right now, and she's just like
Oh.
not there yet. But like,
And
yeah,
she's
if
still like
she
posting with
stood up for
him
herself and
constantly.
acted like a real like, go getter and no
Yeah,
shit
like Madison
kind of girl.
did.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love Madison and Austin's friendship though, by the way. I just
I
think it's
know. But
hilarious that it exists.
she was coming for him though at the reunion. I was like, what is going on there? They are friends.
I'm trying to remember
She
which part. The part
she
about Craig
threw
or the
him
part
under
about
the bus
Sally?
like from the beginning. Like, you're a liar. That's not true. You said this about Salley. You said that about Salley at the expense of Sally's dignity and feelings.
You know why
She
I think
was,
she did that? Because Austin is like known for being afraid of confrontation in a very similar way that West is, right? So like I think it was even said on the show that if Austin had an issue with Craig, he won't say it, right? Like he's too afraid
yeah,
to say it. So I think that she was just trying to put it all out there. But you're right. It's at the detriment of your friend. And there was no reason for you to like make those comments or like as derogatory as those
no.
comments were, unless maybe there's so much we don't know, but maybe Sally she did say that Salley came to her and was like, why doesn't he like me? But maybe she was doing it a lot. And so she was like, I just need to put this out there. And this is why he does not like you. This is what he told me. Put it on him. Stop asking me. This is what he said. But it still was icky and I didn't love it.
It was, but I think also the other element to it is her kind of like securing her bag for the next season, because it's like, oh, well, she's a stay-at-home mum now and she's got a new baby and, you know, what's her story?
We need her, though. We need her. Like, she can be like, what do you call it? Like the den mother or like the voice of reason. She could be the Lisa Vanderpump. She could be whatever. You're right. She doesn't have a storyline, but I want her and I need her. I want her there as like voice of reason.
Yep, totally. Okay, we segued back into Southern Charm, which is just something I can't help doing all the time.
We just did our deep dive of this season of Southern Charm, the end.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you know, I think we have good thoughts and feelings there. I think, you know, would you make any changes to the cast for next season?
For Southern Charm? I would say Vanita, only because I feel like she doesn't have any allies right now. And one of my listeners / followers made a really good suggestion. She said Summer House. I was like, oh my God, yes. Because she's friends with Sierra. She does love to spend time in New York. She's a fashion girly. I think that would be a better fit. I don't think she's not good for TV. I just think she needs to find her right place. And it's not with a bunch of people who she's not friends with, right? Yeah. The core 3 men, I debate back and forth because we did have, what's his name, Craig, say something like, I don't even know if I want to come back to this. But this show has always been about them. So I think they need to stay. I think Sally needs to stay because I think she's good for TV. I feel like Charlie is interchangeable with any skinny blonde. Yeah. So we just need to insert blonde here. But she gave nothing else aside from that.
May as well get a single one.
Molly, I love, but I think she has so much more talent than this show can really showcase. She needs to be going on American Idol, America's Next Top Model, America's this, that, whatever, because all they're able to show of her is how interesting she is, but it's different from what the show is meant to be about. Love watching her talent, but it just feels misplaced amongst this cast. It's a difficult show to cast. I feel like it is because it's supposed to be about like these old families and old relationships, and they are skewing a bit away from that, but I still enjoyed it. Oh, and Whitner, I could care less about.
Yeah, he disappointed me at the reunion because it was like a different person to who we'd seen all season. So
did we see anyone all season? I feel like we didn't get much from that guy either.
Well, I feel like we got a little bit. A little. I mean, he was a good friend to Molly. I thought that was really nice to see. You know, he took up for her. And like, you know, this was also another moment where Vanita told him to shut the fuck up in his pool house. And, you know, he was like, I'm just here supporting Molly, you know.
But didn't he come at her first? Didn't he say something to her first? I thought he said something like, hey, you don't get to, like, I thought he was like really aggressive with her for a second. And then she told him to shut up. I could be wrong, but that's what I thought I saw happen. And I thought to myself, why is he doing that out of nowhere? But I think he's trying to do something. He's like, I'm supposed to do something. This is my job. I'm supposed to get involved. And it was interesting what Craig said there at the end, where he was like, Whitner, you've been here 5 minutes. You don't know the show. You don't know what goes on here. But what Whitner's talking about is real life. And what Craig is talking about is the show. And they bleed, obviously, because it's a reality show and you've been on it for 10 years. So where does one end and the other begin? But I think Whitner doesn't really get that. They're not on the same page there. Because once you've been on a show for like 10, 11 years, you newbie, you just don't understand that to the same level.
Exactly. And I feel like that's part of the frustration a little bit with Sally as well. And Sally kind of like getting Charlie in on it and getting Vanita in, or Vanita was on her own.
What was Sally doing there with the whole, you didn't tell me about this? Who tells someone about like every time they wipe their ass? It's wild to me that she kept wide-eyeing about this, right? Like, you are so put off by the fact that she didn't tell you this, even though she normally does. And that was very interesting for me at the reunion because it's like, we find out that they've only been friends a year. How does that make any sense? I thought they are friends because their main exes, the ones that they were engaged to, broke up with them, and then they became friends, and those were friends with each other. Sally broke up with that guy years ago, so that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. But I'm also curious if Charlie is a liar because it was hard to hear some of the things that Craig says, despite being a lawyer and a storyteller. He was saying things like, this relationship extended beyond the show. And she's like, no, it didn't. And he's like, yes, it did. And she's like, no, it didn't. And I'm like, so she could be a bit of a liar.
Going on there. Yeah, I think she's covering her ass because she probably was already starting to date Justin.
Ew, by the way. What are you
I
doing?
know.
Ew.
Craig is,
Did you see
sorry,
that picture I posted of him, of Selena Gomez, or sorry, of Charlie and Benny Blanco? Because I feel like he looks like Benny Blanco. And then Justin commented on it. He goes, Dana, I thought that we were friends.
That's so funny. Oh my God.
But
I can see it.
I thought you wanted somebody who was like an upstanding member of society in Charleston. And, you know, Craig was that until you saw the way that he treated women. But now you're going after this? Color me confused.
It's seriously weird. I mean, you have to admit that Craig is the better choice of the two, right?
I would 100% date Craig over the guy who has like a penis like decanter type thing that he was using.
Seriously.
And the way he would talk about Mia, he's like, she's got a great personality, right? Like, that's not the kind of guy I'm into. And I'm very surprised that Charlie is.
I know. And like, can you imagine her mother? Like, is that really like who you're excited to introduce to your family?
Well, her mother didn't seem to care about Craig being a yeller. So I guess maybe they don't have a ton of standards. But her mom was like, that's not a big deal. And she's like, no, it is to me.
Yes.
Her mom's like, who cares?
The whole
just
thing,
marry him.
And maybe it's like that Southern thing again. Well, any man's better than no man, sweetheart.
That is how it would be in my house with my mom, right? Like not my physical house, but when I was a kid, right? Like, if a man existed and had a penis, he is perfect for me. Perfect.
Right.
We have all of that in common.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you didn't fall for it and you haven't felt compelled to just pick a penis, you know?
Oh, well, actually, on that note, can I make a little announcement on your podcast?
Please.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, I have been single for a very long time and I live by myself, and it is a thing that I have come to really love and enjoy in my life. And I decided to create a podcast about it called All You Need Is You. And it is your guide to living your best solo life. And it's not even necessarily just about being single. It's about like literally being alone in life, but finding a way to truly enjoy that. And I'm going to talk about like solo travel, pets, what I do on the weekends, but also the horror stories, right? I mean, there was periods of time where I had no one in my life to the extent where I had bad breath between Friday and Monday because I haven't spoken to anybody. My mouth is not open between Friday and Monday, you know? Weekend, and so like it really took a lot of learning and strength to be able to get to the place that I am at now. And I want to be able to share that kind of practical advice with people. So starting on April 10th, please download All You Need Is Love wherever you get your podcasts. All You Need Is You. Sorry. All You Need Is You. Wherever you get podcast.
Okay. And I love the logo is like a girl doing up her own zip.
Right.
Because I remember that moment very well for those 8 years.
That is our biggest struggle.
Honestly. And like you could get it like halfway up. And then if you could pull the dress high enough up and then get like just to the back and get it. Like that is like the iconic
We've all been there.
Totally. I'm so proud of you, Dana. I think this is going to be amazing. And I know so many people will get so much out of it. And, you know, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Me too.
Well, my love, I know you've got a very busy evening and you have to pick up beautiful Judy. So thank you for coming onto this emergency debrief sesh. I just needed to get some of that out. You know?
I'm glad you asked me. I'm glad you invited me. I am not glad that Wes and Amanda have done this to us, but I'm glad that they're giving us, you know, something to do again. That being said, I wish it wasn't this week because it's a very busy week for Bravo fans. We literally had Summer House, premiere of The Valley tonight, premiere of Rhode Island on Friday or on Thursday, and then I believe on Sunday, Atlanta is airing. So we've got a lot of Bravo on the horizon, and Wes and Amanda are going to have to take it down a notch because we have things to do.
I know, no more revelations, but I fear we're going to continue to get revelations by the hour. And maybe she'll be pregnant by the end of the week. But, you know, buckle in.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I know. Oh, Dana, I love you. I will put the links to everything in the show notes so people can support you and the pod. And you're still doing Patreon as well?
Yes, patreon.com/the Bravo Investigator podcast.
Perfect. All right, everybody, go and follow Dana, support her show, support her page. She makes really funny and poignant posts you will really enjoy if you're not already following. Dana, thank you so much, as always, my friend. Talk to you next time.